Hey guys, this is Hannah and this is Bookworms Talk, and today we're going to talk about Thoughtless by S.C. Stevens. And you guys recommended this thing to me like crazy, and again, I can't thank you enough because it's one of my favorite series. In a word to describe this book, I would have to say gut-wrenching in every imaginable way. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of what it's about. So Kira's from Athens, Ohio, and her boyfriend Denny is Australian, but he has gone to Ohio University, and that is how they met. And they are just an adorable puppy love, and he gets an internship in Seattle, and she applies at a university in Seattle, and she goes there, gets a scholarship. She's the first time she's been away from her parents, and they're going to live together, and they move in with Kellen Kyle. Immediately just strikes her. He is local underground rock star, let's say, because it's kind of an unknown thing, and Seattle's just like the home base for all of the not quite known yet artists. And yeah, him and his band, the D-Bags, yes, that name is awesome because it made me laugh 100 times at least. Then Denny has to go to Tucson, Arizona, and he's like, no, you're not going to come with me, and he's gone for a few months. And he tells Kellen to take care of her, but to keep his hands off her because Kellen Kyle is kind of the Seattle man whore. And so Kira's really lonely without Denny, and 2 months is so long, she's never been apart from him that long, and she finds solace in Kellen. And they get this amazing friendship, and it turns into more than a friendship. And choices are made, and people are chosen over the other one, and then no one is chosen, and it is just the ultimate guilt trip. And we get to see where her relationship with both of the guys go. Whether it's friendship, is flirting really ever innocent? I don't think so. And this book is proof of it. If you liked Beautiful Disaster, you'll love this. I cannot tell you how much, as Kellen did things, I'm just like, that's so intense. And to describe Travis Maddox in a word is intense. And so just they had that intense quality about them, and I loved it so much. So that's all I'm going to say for now. I will see you guys later when you have read it. Bye! So let's talk about first impressions, meeting him in a towel. Great. Yeah, about the Space Needle scene on, I was a blubbering mess. I loved that Seattle was the area that it was in, and it was in, like, Pioneer Square, and it was around the Space Needle, and I went there just last summer, and so it is so familiar to me. How the air feels when you're near the sound, and just the fish being thrown in the market, and in Pike's Place, and just, it was awesome. Going into this book, I really deeply appreciate that S.C. Stevens didn't make us like Denny initially, and then slowly make us not like him, along with Kira, to make it easy on her to choose Kellen over him. No, she made it difficult, and that's what hurt so bad about it. It was a knife in the gut. And then I kind of thought, how could you do that, Kellen? I mean, how can you fuck your best friend's girlfriend? Because Denny's a good guy, and Kellen's a good guy. He's just misunderstood, and it just made the whole situation so much worse. There's this one part that I just found too much joy out of, and it was embarrassing the amount of time I spent laughing at this part. So it was like the douchebag shirts. Like it, I can hook you up, he winked at me. I know people. I smiled and nodded back at him as we went back to drinking our coffee. Denny came down a little while later. He looked over at Kellen and pointed to his shirt. Nice, man, score me one of those. I still don't know why I think that's so funny, but it is. Because it said douchebags on the front. You get it, you get it. So when Denny left for Tucson, I really thought what he whispered to Kellen was that I'm basically leaving and not coming back, take care of her. I really thought, I was waiting, I was setting Denny up for failure, and I kind of feel bad about it now, but that's my thought. I was like, he's either saying, keep your hands off her, I'll be back, but more so, I really believed he was just leaving and not coming back. And I think the beginning of their bonding friendshipness was when he offered her the remote. The remote, guys. He's a dude. That's a big deal. When Kellen started singing in the grocery store and embarrassing the living hell out of her, I was laughing so hard. I understand how easy it is for people to fall for the guy. And it was very much an Andrew Parrish singing about raisins moment, and I loved it so much. But really though, if I wasn't falling for the guy already, at the Space Center with the ice cream cone and the little girl, are you serious? And the stuffed animal? How am I not supposed to fall for him again? And another mentioning of The Princess Bride. I think this is like, what, the 4th book that I've had this reference in? Good taste in movies, guys. I really liked that Kira realized that when Denny was gone and she grew close to Kellen, she knew it wasn't right. She knew that this attachment that she had to him was helping her deal with Denny being gone, but she knew that it wasn't okay. And I appreciated that. I liked that she didn't pretend that it was okay. Oh, I just tisked Denny like you wouldn't believe when he chose the job over her, and I thought, that's just how it's gonna be, isn't it? He's just gonna choose the job over her every time, and maybe this is right that she broke up with him. This is good. And then she gets rip-roaring drunk and sleeps with Kellen, and while that's well and good, like, that's a step we're wanting to take, because I'm rooting for Kellen at this point, because I was livid at Denny, because I'm like, he's that person that's going to choose the job over her without fail every time, because I didn't know Denny that well. While it's not right, it's right. You know what I mean? And then the next day, Denny comes back, and I am just like, why? Why? And now she is stuck. I mean, as if she weren't stuck before he left. He did take that promotion for her, and he came back for her. I mean, yeah, she moved across the country for him, but still, now what is she supposed to do? Say, oh, I actually don't really want to be with you. I just slept with your best friend that's our roommate, that's like your brother. You love the guy. You let that promotion slide to come back to me because I broke up with you, and how is that supposed to go over? It's not gonna go over well, and she doesn't say anything, and it's just, the weight's in my heart. I mean, Kira felt guilty, and I'm willing to bet that Kellen felt just as guilty. I mean, he's known him longer, and that was like his brother, and Denny stood up for him. And so that morning after that they first had sex, Kellen just walked the city trying to figure out how to say that he loved her without sounding like an idiot. And he comes back, and Denny's there, and they're having sex up the stairs. And just the weight in my heart, poor Kellen. And then he's just mean to her, and he's just like, Denny and I are friends. You and I were roommates. And then she's just like, you're the biggest mistake of my life, Kellen. I wish you would just go away. And they are terrible to each other, but they're both hurt, and it's just all bad. When Kellen tries to do the right thing, I don't feel like it was the right thing, but, and Kira's like, stay with me. And his one tear, I can't. Not Kellen Kyle tears. I can't do those. Then he just started taunting her after that, which was better than the ice that he had been doing. Like, everything he said was an innuendo. Like, I actually started to wonder when I would stop being shocked by the things that he said, and it didn't happen. Like, talking about espresso, or mentioning begging. I scolded him throughout this book. It's like, filter, Kellen, filter. The spider scene, I was literally rolling around on my bed laughing so hard at that. I'm legitimately going to read it to you. I was feeling a little better about the situation when the largest spider known to mankind dropped right in front of my face. Now, I'd like to think that I'm pretty practical about the rodent, insect, and arachnid world. I completely understand that they serve a purpose and that there is a place for them in the circle of life. But one dropping right in front of my face, I swear to God, 3-inch long legs brought out the girliest reaction possible. I screamed, and not just any scream, no. I screamed bloody murder. I hopped out of the shower and immediately began doing the icky dance. You know, the, oh my God, I know there are about 6 more of those things on my body dance. And then Kellen burst through the door and he's like, what? And she's like, spider. He's like, spider? Really? You're not dying. Oh, that was so funny. Fornication. Good save, Kellen, that time. I remember that part. Okay, so I think I know where Kellen was going when he asked, was Denny your first? Like, that whole question, but he didn't quite go there. I think I know what he meant. And it's like Denny said later. Denny was her safety blanket. He was comfortable, and because that was your first, that's all you know, and the idea of there being another, like a feeling like that again in a different way, because you never feel the same love twice. But to have an emotion even similar to that is scary, and she's not the kind of person that's totally comfortable with that. And I think that's where he was going with it, and he was trying to justify it in his mind and kind of make everything less not okay. This book had these things that I'm now going to call anxiety pockets. Like when Kellen was extra moody or Kira was extra guilty, and it's just the weight that drags at you a little bit, but it didn't last too long, and that's a gift. Because I have read plenty of books where I'm literally wanting to skim through as fast as I can to get out of the anxiety pocket because I don't want the anxiety, I want to get through this. But this didn't drag enough to where I felt the need to start skimming or skipping. I read it through completely, and that takes talent to have the anxiety pockets without it dragging. When Kellen called her a whore and a tease, and then they go home, and he's a sobbing mess, and I hated Kira then. Hated her. I extremely disliked her before. No, hate, officially hate at that point. Oh, and the this is how it should be bullshit speech, no. Kellen should not be screwing nameless bimbos, and Kira should not be with Denny. Nobody's happy. They had quite a few instances where they continued to be terrible to each other. Like I said, Kellen called her a whore, she called him a prick. We're not friends, we never were. Are you really going to marry him? Will I still get to fuck you? Guys, you need to stop. Kellen's childhood story of how his mother had an affair with his father's best friend, ironic as it is to this story, and so he was the result of rape that initially he didn't go into a loving home, and then I think as he grew up his father realized that he wasn't a result of rape and that it was his best friend's child. I mean, it was a spitting image of him, and I think that may have only made him hate him more. And he was innocent in all this. And to just have the people that are supposed to unconditionally love you hate you before you're even born. It's understandable that he has issues with loving people because no one's ever loved him, or he doesn't recognize it. And it's really sad because the guys, the band, the D-bags, they love him. And he doesn't see that. And it's deeply sad that he doesn't understand that people are capable of loving him. He's capable of being loved. And he had sex at a young age. He was 12, and when they weren't talking and with all the women, and he explained that that was his way of dealing with it because it was his way of feeling wanted. He wanted to feel wanted. And that, I mean, I understood it. It didn't make what he did okay, but I understood it. And then with Kira, like, is your mouth never cooperating with your mind here? Why would you say that you choose Denny when it push comes to shove? Why? That's not what you want. That's what you're comfortable with answering because you're scared. You're scared of feeling. Kira, so mad at her. And Kira's like, stay with me. And his one tear, I can't. Not Kellen Kyle tears. I can't do those. Kellen said that he loves you. He doesn't give that kind of thing away easily. He doesn't say that. And it's you. And how could you do that to him? I'm still mad at her about that. I mean, that was the worst way for Denny to find out, short of walking in on them having sex. I mean, I really did feel bad for Denny. I was afraid that would happen. And then Denny accidentally punches her, and she's in the hospital. And then Kellen kicks her out. I didn't understand it at first, but then it clicked, and it's like he's trying to protect his heart. And if it means him closing off and shutting down and being away from her, okay, but he still loves her. And I said that he was still down in the hospital waiting to hear if her condition changed, and he wouldn't leave. He wouldn't be with her visually, but he couldn't leave her still because he did love her, even if she had hurt him so much, and he thought that he was the consolation prize, and it sucked so bad. Oh my god, she managed to fuck up so deeply. Oh, Anna, gotta love ya, when she forced her out and took her to Pete's bar, and that song that he sung. I was a blubbering mess, like I said, from the Space Needle chapter on. I was swimming in a bath of my own tears at that point, and the song just, it overflowed. And then he has the tattoo, and I was like, oh, Kellen. And then he said that he got it the day that her things moved up, and then they're gonna make this work. And she said that it's not easy because she cheated and he cheated and they both did, and so they're gonna have those issues with trust now, and that's gonna probably be the journey for the next couple books. I mean, their relationship is meant to be. I'm a big believer in fate. If anyone says that Kellen Kyle is mushy or too emotional, he's a writer, a poet in all rights, and that's okay. Because that's what songwriters are, and who judges other artists that play on the radio, like Bruno Mars and lovey-dovey songs, okay? That's your feelings, and they're allowed to say that kind of thing. And I will defend my Kellen Kyle. That's right, I feel emotionally attached to that kid. Yeah, so I really hope that she doesn't screw him over more. I hope that get over trust issues, and I hope that she's not so insecure. And I liked that she said a couple of the arguments that they had, because they are not perfect. They argued a lot, and it would be so unrealistic to basically say, oh, we lived happily ever after. It was Denny that was the problem. It wasn't. Because they disagree all the time, and they fight all the time, and they're mean, and I'm glad that that stayed. And I can't wait to start Effortless. I'm thinking about actually getting hard copies on all of these because I get to see SC Stevens at Book Bash, and I'm in love with the series so far, and I think I just need to go and buy the hard copies on Amazon. Yay! I'm gonna be broke by June 29th. So I'll see you guys later next time on Bookworms Talk. Let me know what you thought of this, and thank you again for recommending me this. Like, seriously, thank you. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Train up to town to take you out again.